Hi, everybody. Welcome. So good to see so many of you already in the house. Sorry I'm a little late. Was starting seeds indoors today. So it's time for that. I think I always do better sometimes in the second half of the summer than the first half because it's such a rush, to get everything in. And then I kind of like this where you can kind of take a little breather and start slowly again for what you want to grow into the fall. So let's see who's here. Hi, Robin. Hi, Leanne. Francis from Canada. Good to see you. Mel. Oh, Mags from Scotland. Joey Penfold. Philip. Oh, always good to see you. Thanks for being here. Stephen. Urban White Buffalo Farm. Great to see you. Karen. Mama's Oasis Allotment. Wow, we got a lot in the house. Anna Jones, good to see you. What is my little mouse doing here? Okay, so if I miss you, I'll catch up with you soon. But anyway, we have had crazy rain. I mean, we're in July, and normally July, I think, is one of our driest months. And we've had more rain this month than we had in the month of May. So I don't know what's all going on. And we, in our neighborhood, in our area, all kinds of trees came down. And we have a lot of very old, mature trees around here. And they were coming down and they were bringing up, when a tree snaps, that's one look. But when they fall over and the whole root ball comes up, there was a lot of those. So, yeah, it was kind of crazy. So luckily we lost a tree last year in a storm like this, a big magnolia. So I'm very glad that this year we, or at least so far, have not had one of those. So a lot in the street and a lot smack dab on a house. So that's a lot here. Anyway, so today I was sowing red rubel kale, some spring onions, a little. Oh, we're trying some watermelons. It's really late, but one of the children that kind of have a garden bed in my backyard, he loves watermelon and wanted to grow them, and his plant died. So I'm doing a Hail Mary here, and I put in like 9 seeds and thought, well, maybe we'll get one in their shorter period, their shorter variety. They only take like 75, 80 days. And we have just under 100 days till our first frost. So maybe he'll get a watermelon in the middle of October. So we will see. And then what else did we put in? Some more cilantro, because you just can't, I don't know, I can't get enough of that. And yeah, so that was kind of fun, and it was only one flat, so it was very nice. Harvested my first rutabaga this week, um, which I think is early, but boy, it was ready, and we roasted it last night, and it was wonderful. Uh, so let's see. We have a lot of weather. Weather's just been. I think that we're going to constantly be saying weather's getting weird. Um, okay, Mel's got cold and dull here, waiting for rain again. Yep. Uh, I really can't believe I have not even used like my irrigation system hardly at all, because I used it more in May than I have since we really got into summer. Uh, let's see. No, Francis is saying that they need rain badly. Well, I'm so sorry that you're not getting it because we're getting more than I ever counted. And so that's why I think maybe like my rutabaga was ready already because it's gotten a lot of hot weather and a lot of rain. So I think it's very happy. Philip is saying for the next 10 days, and Philip is in Ireland. Um, they have a forecast for rain every day. Maximum daytime temps of 18, lows down to 10. Wow. Yeah, that is not July weather, is it? Um, but I guess, we just have to kind of, we can adapt. Luckily, the gardeners can adapt and try to make sense of all this crazy weather. And I've had my first cucumbers have come in, which has been lovely. My tomatoes are coming in very slowly. They're loaded with a tremendous amount of green fruit, but nothing has crossed. Well, I had one cherry tomato the other day, and we pulled a couple off today, and they were actually sitting on the ground, and they were not my best. Let's put it that way. We didn't eat those. They were kind of half rotted. So I'm hoping that as we head into August here, that we'll be able to get going with the tomatoes. And my okra really hasn't been doing too much. Um, yeah, it's been just an odd season. Stephen is saying they're at 93 now. High today will be 98. And you're up in Minnesota, aren't you? I had no idea Minnesota got those kind of high temps. Because we were supposed to be high 90s today, and I think we're only making it up to like 82. So yeah, I had no idea that Minnesota went that hot. Uh, oh, and Robin was canning yesterday. Yeah, well, depending on what you're canning, that can be a lot, right? I'm looking forward to being able to can some things, but nothing yet at that level. So I'm freezing a lot of herbs and trying to figure out how to preserve them. That I don't have a freeze dryer. A lot of people have freeze dryers now. I don't have one of those. Uh, but I'm trying to decide, with herbs, is it better to dry certain ones and freeze others? So I'm experimenting a little this year because I think the softer herbs might freeze better. But then again, I freeze garlic straight off the plant in the nice big tall stalks, and it freezes beautifully, and it's like it just came off the plant when you pull it out. Um, so I want to do a little experiment because I know, like with basil, some of the softer herbs, if you chop them or process them, they'll turn brown quite easily, and I don't want to do that. So no, Philip says this. That is absolutely true. As gardeners, every day is a challenge. But to each challenge, we learn something. Yes. And that's the joys of gardening, growing your own. Absolutely. I forgot about some turnips. Have you ever let turnips go too long? I had forgotten I planted a row and they were kind of buried between some, I think by the rutabagas. And the rutabagas were completely taking them over. Um, and all of a sudden, I see um, brassica flowers. I mean, they're pretty standard and you know what those look like. And I thought, I forgot I had them. And I pulled out these enormous, they looked more like a human brain than a turnip. And they were the small, they should be like the size of a $50 or a small golf ball. Yeah, they did not. So they were very unfortunate. Let's see, we got a couple ideas here for the basil. I freeze basil chopped in olive oil so it doesn't brown. Looks and tastes fresh. Okay. I think many times I make pesto and freeze that. I just don't put the cheese or the nuts in before, just freeze it that way. But I'd like to be able to, um, yeah, so I just want to fool around. I'm gonna I don't like dried basil in particular. I think that just doesn't taste like basil. And I have an entire flat of basil to get out into the garden. Maybe in the next 2 weeks, I can do that. I meant to take some pictures of some things to show you guys today, but we kind of got carried away. I still had a few Christmas things out. Can I confess that? Um, and I just hadn't put them away. So it took some time today to get those out of the house, or not out of the house, but out of my kitchen windows. Uh, let's see. Francis is asking a question. Why would beets look like they're doing fine and then stop growing? Well, they're not bulbing up at all. Or are they bulbing below the ground but they don't look? I grow golden beets for eating the beet, and I grow bull's blood beets for the greens. But the nice thing is you end up with beets anyway, even if you're growing them for the beet, but or for the foliage. That's why I started today. Sorry, we started more beets today. Um, I don't know why. Again, I would check and see if there's some bulbing happening, and if not, I might just give them a little push of some organic fertilizer or other kind of fertilizer, like what you normally use. Um, yeah, and again, I think because of the fluxes in temperature, I mean, many of us, it's going a bit cooler in the evenings. It's getting really hot at night or hot during the day, and all this rain. I think things might be a little bit confused. So I don't know if that's what's happening with your beets or they're just not happy in their location. Uh, let's see. Okay, yeah, I that would be my solution. Was I would just start somewhere else and see how they might be doing. So, are you guys finding that you're getting lots of harvest right now? I feel like mine is kind of just starting. Getting a couple of cucumbers. I've got a couple beans. Well, I should say maybe a handful or so. But I have a whole lot of plants in, and I need to. That's the other thing I want to start today was a second round of beans, because those will be happy to grow into the shorter days. Um, yeah, Francis, I think I usually use an organic fish fertilizer, so it's like seaweed and fish, and everybody seems to like enjoy that. Almost, I've not used that on any plant where it wasn't a little better off for it. And those are probably a little heavier in nitrogen than the other two, but not so much. It's a little more balanced. It might even be like a 5-5-5. I would have to look that up, but uh, Amanda's agreeing that yeah, some seaweed feed. Yeah, no, that'd be great. True. Stephen is mentioning that if you add some bone meal or rock phosphates mixed into the soil a few weeks before planting will help root crop. Yeah, and also I'm adding bone meal to my hibiscus this year because they just did not produce flowers, or because I want the flowers for tea. It didn't produce any. So I kind of went with the bone meal will help produce fruit, because that's a phosphate. No, is it phosphorus? It's phosphorus, not potassium. Yep, it's phosphorus. Um, Great. Okay, what's Mag's been doing? Uh, Mag's harvested onions and carrots. My tomatoes are still green. Harvested. I saw your video on harvesting your potatoes. Uh, that's awesome. I got mine in super late. So I don't think I'm going to be harvesting potatoes till end of August, maybe early September. But they look good. They're growing, and some are flowering. So I know it's all heading in the correct direction, right? Um, yeah. So here we are. Next week is August, which I kind of can't believe. I mean, um, it just feels like it was May, like a minute ago. Um, but it does make us start to think. Okay, we're at least in the last half of our growing season, right? Um, I think I said earlier, we have a little under 100 days left till our first frost. So I'm really thinking about, okay, what have I not put in that needs to go in? I have my fennel. It's back on the grow. The grow lights right behind me. Fennel, and I started a lot of spring onions today. Things that I know. I have a flat of basil because I know when those tomatoes come in, I'm gonna want to have a lot of basil on hand. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to think what else. What else did we harvest? Oh, we harvested those enormous turnips the other day. Gosh, they were horrible. Very, like, what's the word when the inside? It's not spongy. It starts to hollow out a little bit. It was just nasty. So, and I don't think I'm going to grow more here at the end of the season. I think I'm going to pass. I am going to, well, I might grow a few of those little salad turnips because those are lovely. Okay, Margaret Alice. Hi, I don't think we said hi to you. I just pulled amazing garlic for the first time. Well, congratulations. Isn't that really fun? Also picked the best crop of red gooseberries ever. I have heard about those. I've seen them, but I've never tried those. Heat and plenty of rain, absolutely. And I had a great garlic harvest this year too. So whatever was going on, yeah, I guess woody, yeah, the texture I was trying to get from the center of the turnip, but it was like it was spongy without being like soft. So maybe that is what woody means, but it was not pleasant. Um, Francis. So anyway, congratulations on your first garlic. That's great. It's fun. And you can save now because we're going to be putting garlic in again, end of October or September, whatever your time frames are. So you can keep them and grow them from your own stock, which is great fun. And over a couple of years, you can build it up to whatever you need. Um, Frances saying her spuds are as bad as they were great last year. Same method, same treatment. Yep. Uh, and in the recent heat, I'm wondering because my potatoes went in so light and they are now growing definitely in the heat of summer. Uh, Although again, this has been a weird month. Uh, August is typically hot as well for us. So I don't know what I'm going to get because they just, as much as they need to be in full sun, I don't think they love um, heat. So, so yeah, so sorry, Francis, because that's always like finding treasure, right? Oh, that's a good tip. With beetroot, I grow them either side of a row of peas. Interesting. I've never thought of putting those two together. What a great idea. Okay. Steven's saying that his garlic and potatoes are ready to come out this week. Awesome. Uh, Amanda is also trying to help me figure out what a porous actually feels better than woody because it was just nasty. I like porous. I will stick with that one. Uh, let's see, Mama's Oasis ate my first non hot chili, Haji Delight. It was good and a bit tangy, like brown sauce level. Enough for me. Awesome. I think it's great when we find like a variety of anything that kind of like that hits the spot. That's a good one. So that's always one of those ones you want to make sure, even if you're like me and like to try new varieties every year for no other reason than I like to try new varieties. I always try to make sure those favorites get in there every time. Leanne is saying her garlic harvest was better than expected. I ended up with mosaic virus. Oh, but now I can't use what was intended for seed as such. Still edible though. Well, I think you gotta take the wins when you can get them, right? So you got them. You can't use them for stock, but happily there are many farms that are happy to sell garlic stock, right? Um, Here's Robin, who had a nice Patterson onion harvest. Next few days, Elsa Craig reds and a couple shallot varieties. Just waiting for rack space. You know, I think that's the constant bit of gardening. Either we're looking for shelf space with a light or with heat so that we can get things going in the spring. Then we're looking for drying rack space. Then we need to find cool spaces to let things uh, store for the winter. I mean, it's the endless. I think everybody just needs to put up one of those big, huge hoop houses. Although that really wouldn't work because they'd be too hot for most things, wouldn't it? Let's see. Francis has another question here. How long should one cure shallots? I think mine are ready to pull. Well, I don't you think I would treat a shallot like an onion, and just let it dry until the neck is dry, and then you can cut that off. Um, that's my thought on shallots. I'm not an expert on shallots, but I think that's what I've done with the few that I've grown. Um, but I think they might store better than a lot of onions do. Okay, you know what? I shouldn't even say that because it really depends what variety you're growing. But I would cure it for a week or two, somewhere shady but warm. Um, yeah. Steven wait, where'd he go? Here we go. He plants beetroot near above ground plants. So some are growing above and below on the same square foot. Well, there you go. Oh, that's a good idea. Get a little more of your growing space. That's a great idea. Thank you. Oh, hi, Stephen. This is different Stephen, Stephen Brown. I had my first Merlin cucumber. It was my camera. I'm so sorry. Is right in front. Here, I'm gonna try this because you can move things. There we go. We have that technology, right? Oh, much better, much better. I had my first Merlin cucumber. It was still warm from inside the greenhouse and was amazing. Is it, normally you think, I wouldn't want to eat a warm. Yes, when you can get them right off the plant, it's like eating a warm tomato outside, right? No problem. I've got Shirley, Black Moon, Moneymaker, and Gardener's Delight, all still green, but it won't be long. Absolutely true, because I'm always amazed when you go out and look at things and they don't look even close. And 2 days later, here they are. Uh, okay, Robin is also agreeing that shallots and onions treat kind of the same. Philip is saying he lifted his first early potatoes this week and replanted 3 pots for Christmas. Leave them outside until first frosts, then bring into the polytunnel and cover with fleece. Lovely. Yeah, you know, um, I think it's because my UK friends all grow potatoes for Christmas. I thought, oh, wouldn't that be just lovely? And I wonder, I could probably just pull them into my garage and do kind of the same thing. Although I think a polytunnel probably keeps things a little warmer. So we'll see. Maybe when we get those windows put in the back of our garage, that kind of could I could fake a polytunnel maybe. Well, hi, sewing trolley dolly. Good to good to have you here. Uh, yeah. This year has been an interesting. Um, it's just been an interesting year for the garden. I feel like I was more organized this year, and yet everything went in later. I was I really cut back on my quantity. Really just focusing on growing what um, we use and we like. And yet I felt behind up until about maybe last week. And now it's like I feel like I could sit out there and put my feet up. So, yeah, weird year. Uh, Mama's Oasis is saying her tomatoes, even in the greenhouse, seem to be, seem a few was behind. Also, I had to take 2 out. I think blight. Mm, yeah, that's interesting because I feel like this might be the first year I might deal with blight because we'd have normally have a very dry summer, so everything gets watered in my outside garden from drip, which is at the dirt level, right? I mean, it's feeding right to the roots of the plant. This year we've had so much rain that I wonder if blight might be more of an issue because I know it's part of that hot, damp, not damp issues. So we shall see. Hi, Pauline. Uh, I should have had a picture of the slug. I found my first slug this week. And it's not like I've never seen a slug, but normally what I see when it comes to slugs is that slimy line that they leave. So I know a slug has been there. But I found this enormous slug. Again, I think because we've had more rain. And he was like leopard spotted on top and then striped at the bottom. And huge, absolutely huge. So he was relocated to another area of the garden, not near anything. At least none of the garden beds. So we have a question. Audrey, I'd love to try the Kalima bush beans. I'm unable to source them in the UK. The only online seller I found is in the Netherlands, and we're not in the EU. Okay. Now, that's a very good question because there are so many different rules now about if you're in the UK, if you're in the EU. I don't know I mean, I know of a lot of US places to get them. Oh, you know what? Baker Creek will ship. They will ship, I believe, to the UK. So it's rareseeds.com. And they sell the Kalima beans. And they're lovely. Lovely. Oh, so, okay. So the slug I found is a good slug. Or it's a no, it wouldn't be carnivore, it'd be what is it when we eat our own kind? It's not a good word, but yeah. Huh. What is that? If you're cannibal. So it's Hannibal Lecter as a slug. Okay. So probably it was good that I relocated it because it's a good slug. Yes. Cannibal Lecter, right? Well, here's another suggestion. I'm growing strike bush beans, and they're wonderful. And Francis is in Canada. And sometimes Canada and the UK have pretty good back and forth, right? Oh yeah, this slug was enormous. It was just enormous. So I'm so glad to know that that's a good slug. Great, because we didn't. We relocated him very gently under the big tree, so he'd be in the shade because I think they like shade. But he was kind of far from all of my gardening beds. So yeah, so I think that is one of the issues with some of this, us being more wet in July than usual. Is I think we're going to be facing some of these bugs and things that we don't normally face. So I am going to keep an eye out for blight, and I'll keep an eye out for this huge slug again and not be. I wasn't frightened of it. It was huge, and I thought, how would someone even deal with that? Because it would like, I don't even know what. So I just put it on a stick and had it moved to another part of the garden. Oh, Claire's here. Hey, Claire. Oh, well, that's very kind of you to rescue a bird that your cat. Oh, yeah, I hope they do too. Yeah, I think, Stephen, that's exactly how I feel. I've never I hadn't seen many slugs. Again, just occasionally would see that trail they leave on the sidewalk. Um, so I know they've been there, but there was no evidence and they hadn't done anything. But this was a big guy. So I feel like he'd had his belly full of something. Uh, so yeah, what is the plan for next week? First week in August. For me, that means I have 3 months left of growing season. So I kind of went through all my cases of seeds today and made a list of what I either want more of or I want in addition to. So I am growing a lot of my like dill and cilantro, those things for the fall because they just love the cool weather. I pulled out some of my spring lettuces again that I'll start maybe within the next couple of weeks. More spinach because that will spinach and arugula I think will stay alive almost down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is maybe, we think, yeah, see, that's getting into minus Celsius, and that's where I get messed up. So it's going to be cold because 32 that's 0 Celsius. So this is 20. So it'd be a little chilly, but I think they can make it. So I want to do a lot of that. Oh, okay. So Claire, I'm going to ask you this one. I'm actually starting to harvest my rutabaga sweet. Um, can you? I can't pull the amount of days of that off the top of my head, but are you able to grow those into like November and December? Are you able to do that outside, or maybe you grow those inside? Because that would be just lovely, but I can't do those kind of things. But I wonder, after having such a good seed growing this year, that if I could do that, and I think I could. Okay, I'm pottering on. I'm not making much sense. I think that might be a lovely 2 season crop if I thought of that a little sooner. I'm not sure I could get away with that yet. Uh, okay. Okay, Stephen is putting in his fall garden starts in about 10 days. Okay, this is very timely. Thank you, Francis. I seeded some New Zealand spinach. None of it came up because I wanted to try that, obviously for summer spinach. Did nothing. So I'm glad to hear that you had great success with that. It must have been the seed. So we'll have to maybe get some fresh seed for this coming because I don't think at this point I'm going to bother because honestly it's almost time to put uh, everything's coming out soon. Okay, Limix maximus. There we go. There's a man who knows his slugs. Love it. Okay. Well, he had eaten some smaller ones because that was one big dude. Okay. Yeah, I had harvested my first rutabaga this week, and it was fabulous. And I was doing it because Danny at the Grapevine Garden was doing a Sweetabaga challenge, and it was. I'm so happy I did it because they're wonderful right out of the garden. Um, Robin has planted her peas a couple of days ago with 50% shade cloth. Yep. Yeah, it's this heat. I want to start a bit more inside and then get them out. And I've got lettuce ready to go in, which says it's heat tolerant, blah, blah. I'm going to do the same thing with those. I'm going to put 50% shade cloth just on the top, so they're not just baking in the sun, um, and keep their roots nice and happy with plenty of water, and see if we can't get that through. Um, Now, have you guys ever done the whole plant peas in gutters? That seems like a very interesting way to do it. And I imagine because then it's portable and you can move it around, but I thought that was a very interesting. Okay. Isn't that interesting? I mean, we all have so many different climates that we get to grow in. We can grow spinach, wild rocket, and chard over winter outdoors most years in Northumberland, the UK. Even our pak choi survived the December cold last year. Wow, that's wonderful. I know you guys just don't get down quite as low as we do. When we get low and then we stay low. That's a lot of the problem. Sometimes if it's just a dip low, you can survive that, or they will survive that, but uh, not here. When we go down low, it goes down low. Okay, you Francis also tried strawberry spinach. Good for you. Um, the berries are good, but the spinach itself was meh. Yeah, yeah. I think I've gotten those seeds. I'm not sure I've ever tried it. Um, yeah, those root trainers. There's a new one out that Grown Local is selling over in the UK, and they look like they're two molded halves that are much more sturdy than a lot of the root trainers. I did end up getting some that look more like those container wise uh, pots, or the flat with the molded, and they worked wonderfully. So yeah, anything with a nice long root like that. I even wanted to try to grow carrots in root trainers and see what happened. Like, I don't know, that just might be fun to do. Margaret Al's is just some purple sprouting broccoli. Hope it's not too late. Oh, grow in pots, and then plant substantial plug plants. Yeah, I say, because that's one that will overwinter for you, correct? So I don't think it's going to be too late for you, particularly if you put a big plant in. Yeah, and are the slugs gone by when the winter hits? Do they go south? Do they migrate for the winter? Um, let's see. Let's Grow Home is saying that they've got loads of self-seeded strawberry spinach from last year, not even in the place I grew them, and not in a raised bed at all. Birds are an interesting animal to have in the. Well, it's not really an animal, is it? Well, it's kind of, rather than being a human, it's an animal. Um, yeah, they can drop those seeds just about anywhere, and that's where things grow. Uh, I still don't have my sunflowers out in the garden yet. They're gonna get out there. I've got two flats of them out on my table, getting used to the wind. Uh, so hopefully I'll have one showing before the uh, the season gives up. Oh, Robin did that. Robin's tried that too. Um, she started carrots and got them out before the roots hit the bottom of the cell. We'll see. Yeah, I thought if I put them in those longer cells, might be worth a shot. Because sometimes, carrot seeds, parsnip seeds, they all have to be very, they're a little fussy with how much water they want and how they want it. And I know they are not a great thing to start indoors, but I think there's got to be a way to do it. Because I just direct sowed my parsnips like 2 weeks ago. So I think Claire, you might be in the running uh, for winning that because mine are probably going to be, little teeny, little teeny stubs. So we'll see. I'm still giving it a shot, and it might be actually too warm outside for them to even germinate. So we will see. So, what is everybody looking for as we move into August? What's at the top of the hit list? uh, Claire is going to ensure her win by pulling everyone else's out. So, good luck with that, Claire. I think we're on to you though, since you've mentioned it here. I think we'll be looking. Uh, okay, we got a little smack talking going on about the parsnips. Uh, yeah, yes, anybody else growing melons? Mine are in. I've seen flowers on them, but I have not seen any baby fruit yet. Um, so we'll see. Uh, let's see what else. This is a question from Let's Grow Home, and I believe that's Denise, correct? Um, do your seasons change subtly, or does it? Oh no, it's pretty sudden. Uh, and it all, the temps will take their time. Uh, Let me think. Like this year, we probably had the most spring we've had in a long time, and I'm going to say we probably had 3 weeks of spring that I would call spring, that you can start getting things out because the temperature has risen enough. Uh, but when we went from spring to summer, it was like boom. And when we go to fall, comes in kind of nicely, but then we get a really deep freeze, and unfortunately, then December or November become very nice months. So I'm going to try to beat that this year by using some row cover so that I can like make it through those few couple really really cold nights, and then let it get back up. It might be still freezing, but things like arugula and spinach can, stay alive well below freezing. So I'm going to try to do that this year. But yeah, there's it doesn't feel gradual at all. So yeah, thank you. Uh, Philip is saying his carrots and parsnips, can be started in toilet roll centers, and the whole thing can be planted in the ground before the roots come out the bottom. The centers rot away as the plant grows. Yes, and you know what I did last year? Speaking of this, I did start some carrots in toilet paper rolls, and they got too long, and I cut the root off at the bottom that was coming out, and they did fine. So, yeah, I had forgotten I did that. And they still did fine, but I was like, well, isn't the plant, the goal to get them out, get them planted? And I obviously didn't get it done, but it still worked. So thanks for that reminder. Um, am I putting windows in my garage and making a growing area? Yes. We're gonna put the back of our garage faces south. So that seemed like a perfect kind of greenhousey thing to do. So we're gonna put a bank of windows in the back, and hopefully I can get a lot of growing. It might be hot in the summer, so it may not be, but for the winter, I think I could at least overwinter some things, like maybe grow Christmas potatoes for the first time, something like that, which will be great fun. Uh, Margaret Alice is saying she planted parsnips individually in toilet roll inners and planted outside immediately. I saw root tips underneath, they never forked and turned into monsters. Fiddly, but worth it. Okay, well, I did because Steve was the one that set up this parsnip challenge. And he was like, nope, you got to put them straight in the ground. You can't, no faffing around, no. So I did that. So we'll see, but I didn't get them in till, like, did I say last week? So who knows what they will look like by the time they have to come out. I have done that. And all I'm going to say is uh, it is faster and probably more efficient in the long run just to plant them directly, because it's fussy. And I don't mind a little bit of fussy, but that was a lot. I did buy some seed tape this year. It did work. Okay, let me back up. I'm starting two conversations. Yes, I did it. Yes, it worked. Would I do it again? I don't think so. Little too fussy. I'd rather just snip out some carrots that are too close. And I planted some carrot tape this year. I did use some. And I even noticed that on those I had to do a little thinning, because as much as you try to get, one every 2 inches, it doesn't always work. So I still had to fuss around with that a little bit. But yeah, way easy to do. But you know how it is. Not everything comes pre-done on seed tape. So let's see. Oh, Robin uses paper towel rolls. Yes, which I was saving to use for my parsnips. And then Steve said that was not allowed, and we are honoring Steve's rules this year because he's not here to argue with. So we are doing that. And yeah, but I think that is a great way to never have to have them come out the other end. Let's see what this is. This is from Denise. Someone suggested on one of JB's videos about using cardboard egg trays, cut out the bottom, fill with soil, and sow carrot seeds, then plant out when the greens appear. I wonder if that would be deep enough. Because by the time the greens appear, the roots are moving pretty good, aren't they? Well, maybe not. That's what it seems to me. Like I'd almost want it to be the opposite. As soon as I see a root appear, that sucker's going in the ground. Oh, okay. Robin is saying that for seed tape to use paper towel. Okay, well that might be. It was fussy for me. It was a little bit fussy. But if that was the only way I could get carrots to grow, I absolutely would do it. You know, sometimes you just gotta, pick your battles in the garden, right? Oh, that's a nice idea. Meg just planted her parsnip seeds straight into compost in buckets. Now I wonder if they like carrots, because don't carrots like pretty well useless soil? I mean, to me, I would grow carrots in soil that I'd already grown something else in, because I always felt like they wanted nothing. But just because they look like a carrot doesn't mean they're related, right? So interesting. Have you done that before, Mags, or is this a new thing? I mean, it sounds like what wouldn't grow straight in compost in buckets, right? Okay, so that's a couple people have done that. Huh. Egg cartons to pre-sprout because they like moisture to sprout, and the carton has a good distance. Okay. So this is for, instead of like a baggie with damp paper towel in it, you would use that to kind of chit your carrot seed and then put it directly in the garden. Interesting. Huh. Wow. Mags grew carrots the same way. All right. Well, maybe better soil is good for them, but they also don't mind not good soil. I don't know, because I've always used less than good soil to grow my carrots in, and they seem to have done well, but wonderful. Yeah, so, wow, we're almost at the hour. This always goes so very quickly. I love hearing about what you're all doing. And as we come in, I mean, August, I think we can all agree is just going to be serious harvests are going to be coming in. So it's also time to figure out what we're going to do with all those harvests as they come in. So maybe next week we should talk about what to do as we get a little glut of things. What are some ways that we can prolong the life of the things we're harvesting, or preserve it for uh, later in the year? That might be a great topic. I think that's what we're going to talk about next week. What do we do with all the stuff? Okay, so I think that's what we'll talk about. So thank you all so much for being here. It's so good to see you. I wish you a great week in the garden, whether it's rainy or sunny. Uh, we'll figure it out. When it rains, they will grow a lot. Things will grow a lot. So maybe in that week, if you get a lot of rain, uh, think about how you might be wanting to keep all those wonderful things that are growing so well in your garden. Oh, Francis. Francis' husband was doing the MS ride, 200 kilometers in 2 days. He raised twice the funds he promised. Oh, bless his heart. 78. Good. That's a good job. Well done. You tell him thank you, specifically from me, that we can't get enough research going into that. Time to pull a plug on this whole MS thing, as far as I'm concerned. So, anyway, uh, again, have a great week. Next week, we'll talk about what we're going to do with all this stuff we're um, pulling out of the gardens now, right? Okay, you all take care. I'll see you next time. Same place, same time. Thanks. Sorry, I made my screen small. I can't find my button. There